once again to everybody for joining. This is an information session for the Continuum of Care Transitional Housing Request for Letters of Interest. Today is June 11th, 2026. With me are my colleagues, Kelsey Beckmeyer, the CoC manager, Shawnee Jones, procurement coordinator, and Joe Bechtold, procurement specialist, and I am Eli Griffin, the interim procurement manager. Today, we are going to do a walkthrough of the timeline, the process overview. I apologize, this slide deck is not fully accurate. We're then going to go over funding, scope, and then the letter of interest and instructions. Apologies, this did not get updated. So we released the request for letters of interest on June 9th, 2026. Please note that there was an updated version posted June 10th, 2026, and that is on our Funding Opportunities webpage. We are doing the information session today, June 11th, and then the last day to submit questions is June 14th at 5 p.m. And then the letter of interest deadline is June 21st at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Apologies for that typo. You can send questions to rfp@kcrha.org. So this is for transitional housing funds for an ongoing CoC project that have been voluntarily relinquished. And because this is an ongoing project, budget and project requirements cannot be changed at this time. We are requiring that an organization that taking this project would have to have units already. And so KCRHA wants to ensure that is aware of all interested parties before running a lengthy RFP. And if multiple organizations submit a letter, KCRHA will then release a following request for proposals. Organizations must submit a letter of interest in order to apply if there is a following request for proposals. The funding available from those relinquished funds is a total of $329,516. It is primarily HUD CoC dollars from the 2025 fiscal year, and that amount is total of 262,404. There are also match dollars from City of Seattle General Fund in the total of $67,112. Organizations that are eligible are nonprofit, government, faith-based tribes and tribal organizations. And organizations cannot have a conflict of interest related to federal CoC funds and must not be debarred or suspended. As I mentioned earlier, interested parties must have units for use in association with these funds, and they would have to be able to have move-ins no later than October 1st, 2026, ideally would be sooner. The assumed responsibilities would include providing transitional housing services for up to 43 beds annually for single adults or families, and no households are currently enrolled in this program. Assumed responsibilities would also include supportive services, ensuring clear exits to permanent housing, in connection to employment and income pathways, needing to address immediate housing solutions to secure stable housing, providing direct client assistance, including financial assistance, and resource navigation for community resources and services, connection to relevant support networks, employment opportunities or educational programs, and so on. And then also crisis intervention services to manage immediate threats to housing stability. CoC requirements include complying with federal cost principles, serving HUD eligible populations, so categories 1 and 4 homelessness, participate in the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS, meet federal conflict of interest standards, be registered in sam.gov and not be debarred or suspended, meet KCRHA's minimum eligibility requirements, and be able to provide the required documents. And then also be able to certify compliance with restrictions related to drug use and distribution activities. The budget, as I mentioned, has already been approved and therefore cannot be changed for this program. And so the budget is in 3 buckets for supportive services, operating, and project administration. For supportive services, it's 149,000. Operating is 107,000. Project administration is 6,000, and then the total COC funds is $262,404. The match funds must also be for CoC transitional housing allowable costs. And those allowable costs include leasing, supportive services, operating, and project administration. And then unallowable costs include rehabilitation, new construction, equipment, capital repairs, and acquisition. So there will be no rating or scoring of this process. Again, this is a letter of interest. And if there are multiple organizations that do submit a letter of interest, KCRHA will release a following request for proposals. Agencies interested must provide a letter of interest, including a completed cover sheet form, which is linked in the request, and a 2 to 4 page letter of interest that includes responses to the questions in the request, including an overview of mission and qualifications, how the organization will assume responsibilities and budget of the project, description of the program model and services, number of units, beds, households, and so on, the mechanism or process that the agency has completed to secure units, providing any additional information, or if there are any restrictions, limitations, or potential conflicts of interest. Completed letters are due June 21st, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. And in order to submit the letter of interest and cover sheet, please send that to rfp@kcrha.org with the subject line 2026 Seattle King County CoC Transitional Housing LOI submission. And then in the email of the body include the submitter's name and title and name of the organization. The letter of interest should include responses to the questions I mentioned earlier, and submissions must be in PDF file with clear and easy to read text. Only electronic submissions will be accepted, no fax or hard copies. And the LOI should not be more than 4 pages, not including that cover sheet. And responses must be submitted under the legal name of the organization and signed by an authorized representative. For more information, please visit our funding opportunity webpage. This webpage has been recently updated, so it is much easier to use. And if you go to the 2026 CoC Transitional Housing Request for Letters of Interest tab, that is where we have posted this process. Please review it frequently for updates. We will also include the Q&A document, which will include a link to the recording of this info session, and the info session will be also posted to our YouTube channel. You can always email rfp@kcrha.org to be added to our procurement listserv and also submit questions to that email address. Please review the complete request for letters of interest, as this presentation today was just a high-level overview. Now, with that, I will move it over to questions. You can put those in the chat or raise your hand. Anne.
Hello, and thank you, Eli, for all of that. My first question is, when is the expected funding, or when is the expected start date of when, once you make a decision, when would the funding start for reimbursement?
Kelsey, can I pass that question to you?
Yes, for this, the contract for FY25 funding begins October 1st, 2025. If the expenses incurred cannot be billed unless those expenses incurred come October 1, 2025.
Okay, so immediately is what you're saying.
Should everything go to plan? Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because on one of the releases, it said anticipated contracts start Q3 of 2027. So I wasn't sure if that was a typo or if that was actually for something different.
That may be related to the FY26 NOFO
Yes.
versus this opportunity.
Okay, so and those are two. Okay, I was trying to differentiate between those two things. Okay, perfect. And then coordinated entry. Is there the expectation that all of the any units that you're using or you would have in this would be going through coordinated entry?
Yes, that is a requirement from HUD.
Okay, perfect. All right, I think those are all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Oh, I lied. I do have another question. Supportive services, can you outline just briefly that those allowable costs?
Let me pull up the approved costs that HUD has stipulated based upon the current grant. Those can change a little bit, but let me just kind of outline what the at least current expectation is on those, and I will need 2 shakes of I don't know,
A little lamb scale.
an egg.
That's what you're
An
gonna
egg.
say. Yeah. I do have a follow-up from my other question. Okay, so funding started October of 2025. When do you foresee this? When is the what's the window of time? Does it go through the end of 2027 or through the third quarter of 2027?
It
Or
goes
when?
through September of 2027.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. All right,
Okay.
so some of the things that are detailed on here that are eligible things are assessment of service needs, assistance with moving costs, moving to pay to move somewhere, not to move in, case management costs, food, housing search and counseling services, outreach services, transportation, utility deposits. Those are some of the things that are approved costs under this budget. What I'm looking at is the approved project application, but there is also, let me put in the chat, support services at a glance. That kind of details all of the eligible support services that are allowed under that budget line item.
Okay, I'm just going to keep on
going in the chat
questions. Would you like to see yeah, I'm not seeing it in the LO in the request. I know it talks about how you would assume the responsibilities in the budget. Do you want a budget breakdown, or is that not as important at this time?
We are not seeking that at this time.
Okay. All right, thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all for attending. If you have any other follow-up questions, feel free to email those to rfp@kcrha.org, and then we will be answering those until June 14th by 5 p.m. The Q&A document will likely be posted on our Funding Opportunities webpage tomorrow, and that will include our responses to the questions today. And then we update that document as we receive more questions from folks via email so that everybody has access to the same information. And hopefully by Monday, this will be uploaded to YouTube. So with that, thank you all, and I hope you have a great evening.
You too. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, y'all.